There was a time when Americans rarely played the only major held outside their country. Then along came Arnold Palmer. The King won 7 majors and rejuvenated the international appeal of the game by playing in the Open. I went to meet him to find out more. Well, we forget nowadays how big a deal it was for you to travel over and play in the Open Championship when so many leading Americans didn't. How big a decision was that for you to come over and play?
It was a decision that was made long before I actually went to the Open Championship. My father always said to me, and in case those who do not know, my father was a golf professional. He said to me that you'll never be a great player if you haven't gone overseas and played internationally. So that was locked in my mind long before I ever even went to the Open at St Andrews.
You only just missed out on winning that first Open Championship at St Andrews in 1960. Kel Nagle just pipped you despite you having a charge on the back 9. How close did you think that was?
I had a great caddy by the name of Tip Anderson who knew St Andrews better than anybody in the world, and he knew where you had to hit the ball off of every shot. It's probably the one tournament that I can remember where every shot that I played at St Andrews in the Open I was told where to hit it, and if I did it properly, it worked quite well. I felt like I should have won, and weather and some other things that happened were unusual. I remember the Open had never been called up until that time, and it never was extended beyond the weekdays into the weekend. So that was another exceptional situation.
So then how satisfying was it to win the following year at Birkdale with some pretty windy conditions that time around?
It was probably one of the toughest tournaments that I had ever played up to that time in my life. And the weather was atrocious. I mean, it was in difference to the rain we had at St Andrews. We had rain and very heavy winds. And as a matter of fact, playing through that weather at Birkdale was the thing that helped me win that championship.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And then how was it to win at Royal Troon with a convincing 6-shot victory that time?
My favorite Open moment was, I suppose, winning at Troon as I did. And by chance, it happened to be Kel Nagle that was second, and it gave me an opportunity to do what I couldn't do at St Andrews. I played probably some of the best golf of my entire career at Troon that year, and I was able to drive the ball good, and I putted some good and some not so good, but I thoroughly enjoyed Troon and playing at Troon, and I think it was one of the great golf courses that I played in my career, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Arnie would carry on making the trip across the Atlantic for more than 3 decades without winning again. His final appearance came in 1995 back at St Andrews. It was a fitting farewell for a man who did so much to revive America's passion for the oldest major championship.
Well, I'm a little bashful about things like that. But it was certainly something that I enjoyed. Finishing second the first time and then winning at Birkdale and winning at Troon were probably some of the highlights of my entire career. It was a good competition. The American team was a little heavy, meaning we had a lot of very fine players, which was somewhat of an advantage over the Europeans. And of course, as the years go on, that Ryder Cup has become an extremely heavy competition because of the competitiveness of the European teams and how they have progressed through the years.
How have you seen the Ryder Cup grow over the years, and what do you think are the most noticeable changes?
I was interested in seeing the competition become more competitive, and it did, and it has. And of course, as America has, in the last decade or so, lost a number of Ryder Cups, I think it has made it far more fun, competitive, and a good competition, and what I had thought that they were trying to accomplish in the beginning.
What does it take to be a great Ryder Cup captain?
It takes patience, it takes time. You have to understand your players. You better think about how you're going to pair them and who you're going to put them against, because that is a part of the Ryder Cup history and something that will make it very interesting.
Of course, this year we're all off to Gleneagles in Scotland, and Tom Watson is leading the American team for the second time. And do you think he'll be able to win the cup back for America?
I think it will be a very good competition at Gleneagles. I think it's probably more to the American style playing Gleneagles versus the other links courses that they've played through the years. So it should be an extremely competitive year for the Ryder Cup and a very good competition. Well, of course, I remember Mark talking about putting together the World Match Play Tournament, and at first I was rather reluctant to even participate, but we worked it out so that it was fine for me to do, and it was an opportunity to spend some time in London, and the only thing that was a little bit adverse about that was the fact that we had to ride a limo from downtown London to Wentworth to play, which was quite a ride, and for some of us who were getting a little older, it was we had to warm up a little longer to get ready to play the match play.
Arnie faced Neil Coles in the inaugural final. The Englishman was one of the most consistent performers in golf and one of Arnie's closest challengers when he won his first Open Championship in 1961.
And I knew him well, and we had played against each other before. Not in match play, however, but in the Open Championship. He was a very good player, and kind of I always thought a kind of a sneaky good player, and one that you had to be careful of.
3 years later, Palmer made the final again, this time against five-time Open champion Australia's Peter Thomson.
That was a good one too, and Peter and I had been kind of rivals in the world of golf, in Australia as well as in the British Open, and we played together quite frequently, and I would say we would consider ourselves pretty good friends, but competitive.
Palmer played a significant role in encouraging leading American golfers across the Atlantic to play in the UK. Despite his initial reservations about the match play, it became a tournament he regarded very highly.
It was special. It was a very special thing with all the people operating there in Wentworth, and the enthusiasm of the crowds. The players were pretty popular. They were all people that the galleries knew pretty well, either wherever they were from. The golf course, of course, Wentworth is an exciting golf course to play, and that also made it quite interesting. I can remember most of the holes just talking here to you about the golf course, because it was a pretty distinguishable golf course, and that made it exciting too. You had to play a lot of good shots, and it was a golf course you had to play fairly straight, and that made it fun for me. I think that Mark McCormick and his imagination of the world match play certainly turned out to be something that was very interesting to play, and it was very competitive, as you can understand by seeing the scores and the competitors. They were all good, and the matches were good, and the golf course was good. So the combination of all those things made it a pretty exciting event.